Hey everybody and welcome to the bullshit party. And in this one we're gonna be taking a closer look at the new Podium vehicle, the Lampadari Komoda. And I usually start these things by seeing how interactive the car is, i.e. how many things that I can open on it. And I'm happy to say that on this one we can open all 4 doors, the hood and the trunk. And yes, I understand that's completely useless, you can't use the trunk or do anything with the hood. And with that useless piece of information, it's time to start up the car and go to Los Santos Customs to customize it. The car definitely has a nice sound, and looking at the interior, it looks like it's okay, just nothing special. Hopefully we'll be able to change the trim color once we customize it. And another thing that I think people want to know about this car is if it's an all-wheel drive or a rear-wheel drive car. And my scientifically approved test says that it's a rear-wheel drive car. Okay, good to know. Now, let's go to Los Santos Customs. And on the way there, let's tackle a few key things about the car. First things first, it is very obvious, but it is a saloon in case you missed it. So it has a 4-person carrying capacity. The second thing is, even though the Lampadari name is sort of mocking Maserati, and this car's back sort of reminding me of a Maserati Quattroporte, I don't believe that that is the real-world inspiration for this car. I actually think it was modeled after the Alfa Romeo Giulia. And as always, I'm curious to know what you guys think. Leave your comment down below letting me know. But enough about that, and let's get back to the quote-unquote review. At this point, I started to notice the exhaust note, and more specifically, the crackle you hear after you lay off the gas. And I've never actually heard a car make that sound before in the game. And as I said, this is my first time driving the Komoda, so this is all new to me. Well, except this. I'm quite used to crashing at this point. So right now, let's just make a horribly mistimed U-turn and go into Los Santos Customs. Hopefully I don't destroy it.
What's wrong with her now?
Because the little fender bender, of course, I need to repair the car first, and then we're off to the races. The first thing that I want to point out is that this is, in fact, the Podium car. There we go. And with that done, it's time to upgrade the performance and customize the car. And if you've seen my videos before, you know the way I like to do things is go over all the performance options first, upgrade them to the max level, and then take care of the customization. This way I'm sure not to miss something from the performance options. Looking at the acceleration indicator, surprisingly the bar is already full, and the top speed is right about there as well. And now it's time to have some fun with customizing the car. The first is of course the front bumper. And just to give you a little bit of an insight of my thinking here, as soon as I saw that this was the Podium vehicle, I was sure that I wanted to customize it to look like a street car. You know, one of them Fast and Furious knockoffs. Basically I was willing to ruin the looks of the car. And that definitely explains the front bumper choice. And for the rear bumper, we're gonna go with the same theme, and of course we're gonna do it in carbon. And next up we have the exhaust, and unlike last week's car, which I don't really remember the name of, this one has plenty of good options for the exhaust. And yes, this is the one that we're going with. Keeping up with my own theme that the car had to be as street as possible, I was on the lookout for the hood with the biggest vents. Not big enough, too red, no, oh that's good. But just as a courtesy, I want to see what other options I have. Yeah, it's definitely not going to be anything with red in it. And there we go with the biggest intake possible. And next up are lights, and I really don't care about the headlights or the neon underneath the car, so next. My opinion when it comes to liveries is, and I may catch flack for this, I don't really like them unless in specific situations. Let me explain. If the real-world car that I'm customizing is based off of has liveries, well, in that case, let's go. For example, the Ford F-150 equivalent in the game. I'm definitely gonna put liveries on that one, but for the Komoda, I'm gonna go with the clean look. Mirrors, everything's better in carbon, of course. I can't think of another car that has mud flap options off the top of my head, but I appreciate the option nevertheless. And we're gonna go with black rubber because it looks like carbon. The plate's gonna be tricky, but I always prefer to have a black plate, unless the car is blue or white. And since I have no idea what color I'm gonna do the car in, I'm just gonna go ahead, spend the $600, and if it doesn't match at the end, I'll change it. No big deal. And this car has a lot of roof options, which is something that I didn't expect coming in. Just in general, I'm very impressed with the level of customizations over here. I did forget a couple of roof options and I did want to go back and look over them to see if I missed anything cool. Short answer to that is no. Next up we have the side skirt. And come on, we already know that it's gonna be made of carbon. It's just a matter of choosing which carbon option to go with. And now would probably be a good time to say that if you like the video, well, please consider giving it a like. And if you're not yet a subscriber, that's okay, I'm not upset with you. Yet. As long as you hit the subscribe button. And going back to the customization, we're gonna go with the narrower option for the carbon skirt. And spoilers are always fun, so let's see what we have. First thing that I want to point out is that each of the spoilers raises the traction bar the same amount. So it doesn't matter at all which one you choose. It's all about aesthetics. And speaking of aesthetics, I don't think that this car should have a wing or a big spoiler. And surprisingly, I don't think it should have a carbon spoiler. I think it should be low-key and barely visible. We're gonna go with this one. Next up is slamming the car, but come on, the competition suspension is just ridiculous. And normally for the windows I do the light smoke tint, but since I'm doing this car a little bit differently, I'm gonna go for the dark smoke. That's right, dangerous. And next up are the wheels, and honestly at this point I feel like a girl choosing shoes. Because of the aggressive stance the car has, a lot of wheels look good on it. So I don't think you can make a bad choice from the high-end category. Some classic BMW M wheels. They don't look bad, but they don't look, in my opinion that is, as good as the ones that I went with at the end. Yep, those are the wheels. And before we change the wheel color, I want to go over the primary color of the car, which took me 5 minutes to choose, and there's no way I'm not gonna fast forward through it. And looking at the final result, I gotta say I think it was totally worth it. Now it's just a matter of time of selecting the tire trim color and going out on the road. And I'm really curious to know, on a scale of 1 to 10, what would you rate this car? In my humble opinion, it's a 10, but I have to admit I'm a little bit biased. Yeah, that's definitely a 10. But enough of the looks of the car, let's see how it handles after we upgraded all the performance options. First thing that I hear is that the exhaust note has changed a little bit, but in a positive way. And that awesome crackling when you lay off the gas is still there. This car wasn't a rocket ship when we started, and to be honest, there isn't much of a difference there. It accelerates fine, it has decent top speed, but it's nothing mind-blowing. What is impressive about the car, however, is the way it handles. The right word to use when describing the way that this car handles on the road is obedient. As long as you know what you want to... Thanks. Anyway, as I was saying, as long as you know what you want to do with the car will be able to do it. As long as some lunatic doesn't ram into you. In my opinion, if you know how to drive cars in GTA, you're gonna have a blast with this one. I usually prefer to drive rear-wheel drive cars in the game, but they are in many cases very unsafe. All-wheel drive cars are safe, but they're very boring. This one mixes best of both worlds and gives you great grip with predictability. Let's call it griptability. And to go on to a different subject for a second, a lot of people commented that this car had already been a Lucky Wheel Podium vehicle. And understandably they're upset about it because they've already won it. But in that case, let me suggest something. Why not win a second one? And then you'll be able to race them to see which one's faster. And if you want to learn how to win the car this week, I'm gonna put a card with a link to the video of how to do so right here. And going back to the car, I think this is a no-brainer. Having experienced it, I would have been happy paying 1.7 million for it. But getting it for free is just the icing of an already awesome chocolate sundae. And in case you're watching this video after having bought or won the Komoda, let me suggest something fun for you to do with it. Go on the beach, and if you like to drift cars, go ahead and drift. It's an absolutely superb car for that. And with that cool piece of information, we are gonna be ending the video. Thank you so much to everybody who watched this far. If you enjoyed the video, please don't forget to leave a like, and if you're not yet a subscriber, well, hopefully we'll see you soon. And for everyone else, I'll catch you in the next one. Now, how do I get back home without a GPS?